Well, hello there. Welcome to another video by Code Blue Catholic. Today is a very important day because for Catholics, and it should be important for all Christians. Today is October 13th, 2021. However, it marks the anniversary of Fatima. And for those of you who are not familiar with Fatima, on October 13th, 1917, Our Lady, our Blessed Mother, appeared to three visionaries. Actually, prior to October 13th, she's been appearing to these three children. They're all very poor kids. And then you kind of see the pattern. If you study or read about the Marian apparitions, normally she appears to children, or she appears to children and poor people. And I think that says a lot about her apparitions and the people that she normally seeks out. So with that said, on October 13, 1917, a really amazing event occurred. And to me, this event is not only witnessed, but it was documented. And it was witnessed by not just a few people, but it was witnessed by 30,000 to 40,000, and some even say as high as 100,000 people. So just to kind of put things in perspective, a baseball stadium holds about 45,000 people. So 40,000 people, let's say, ballpark it. 40,000 people is probably about the size of a crowd in a baseball stadium. Not quite sold out, but pretty close to being sold out. So that's quite a bit of people. So 40,000 people witnessed on this day, October the 13th, 1917, in Fatima, which is in Portugal. The miracle of the sun. So to kind of make a long story short, the three visionaries, whose names were Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, they were little children, I think between the ages of 5 and 9 or something like that, I'm not sure, but they're small. Prior to this date, they've been witnessing apparitions by Blessed Mother, and she would tell them secrets, and she would talk to them, and they would go home and tell their families, and their families actually shunned them. They didn't believe them, and even the townspeople thought they were nuts. So Blessed Mother told these children, hey, on October 13th, tell everybody that I will be appearing at this time. So I guess Fatima was a fairly small town at the time. So the children went to tell everybody, and the word caught on like wildfire. So there are people from all over Portugal that showed up, people from as far as Lisbon, which is the capital of Fatima. So they would show up in this field, which was where the children were witnessing or were seeing these apparitions. So 40,000 people showed up, and prior to showing up, I guess the weather was really nasty. It was raining, and they show up in this big farm because if you think about it, to get 40,000 people to congregate in one area, you needed a big space. And this place it took place on a farm. So it was raining, and all these people were walking through the rain, and their shoes were all muddy, and the ground was all wet, and their clothes got dirty, and there were believers and non-believers alike. Many skeptics showed up. The press even showed up, very skeptical. Even Catholics that were very skeptical showed up, because they really didn't believe these kids, but they decided to show up to see what was going on. And my guess was there's, being a small town, what else are you going to do? 40,000 people are showing up. You're probably going to join in on the fun, Whether or not you believe, you're probably saying, sure, there's 40,000 people. I'm just going to show up and see what happens. So the people that showed up, apparently they got the revelation of their life. And so I guess when she appeared, the rain stopped. And I kind of experienced something similar to this in Medjugorje, but I'm not going to go off on a tangent because I was in Medjugorje, and that's another apparition, Marian apparition site, modern day. So anyway, when she appeared, now mind you, only the visionaries and probably a handful of people could see her, because that's kind of how it works with these Marian apparitions. When she appeared, the rain completely stopped. And many, many people witnessed the sun dancing. And they called it the miracle of the sun. And here's a quote from one of the newspapers. This is from a reporter for the Lisbon newspaper. It's called O Dia. And they said, in quotes, "The silver sun, enveloped in the same gauzy gray light, was seen to whirl and turn in the circle of broken clouds. The light turned a beautiful blue as if it had come through the stained glass windows of a cathedral, and spread itself over the people who knelt with outstretched hands. People wept and prayed with uncovered heads. In the presence of a miracle that awaited, the seconds seemed like hours, so vivid were they." And again, this is the reporter for the Lisbon newspaper, O Dia. And that was just one of many miracles. There are also accounts where after she left, apparently when she was done talking to the visionary, she left. And the people that were drenched in water and their shoes were all dirty, and the ground was all wet and muddy, when they looked down, it was completely dry. Everything was completely dry. So that was pretty incredible within itself. So not only did they witness the sun dancing, but a miracle within the ground, I mean, imagine, your feet being all wet and filled with mud and the ground being all muddy and wet. And within 10 minutes in your time, you look down and everything's completely dry. Nothing there, no signs of rain, nothing. And there are also accounts that I read where there were the stars. There was like these, like a comet that people could see far away. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody actually wrote, it's in history, you can Google it, but somebody from a newspaper wrote how they could see a celestial presence in the sky that night. So it's quite amazing. So with that said, to me, Medjugorje, or Fatima, not Medjugorje, Fatima is Blessed Mother's way of showing the world that Jesus Christ existed. He's real, and she's the mother of Christ. And turned non-believers, apparently, into believers during that day, obviously, right? If you show up as a non-believer and you see all these miracles, man, you better repent. You better change your ways, because what you witnessed was supernatural. It wasn't something that the greatest engineers or the greatest minds or the greatest con artists in the world could ever do. Nobody has control over the sun or the rain or the clouds except for God. And for me, my testimony is that Fatima was kind of solidified the fact that I believe in Christ. I mean, unfortunately, I'm a skeptic. I'm a skeptic by nature. My undergrad was in math and science, and my master's was in finance, which is more or less math and econ. So I'm very much a numbers guy. 2 + 2 = 4. Or science guy. I mean, if it defies the laws of science, then it can't be real, right? However, after reading about all these miracles in Fatima, I mean, it goes beyond that too, even to this modern day, about how people were healed, how the blind were able to see, and the deaf were able to hear, and the lame were able to walk, and people with cancer completely healed. After you read about those accounts, how can you not believe? And I will tell people, it turns a non-believer into a believer. If you don't believe, you have to believe, because it's there. And one of modern day, one of the most compelling testimonies that I read about, I watched it on YouTube, was by a father. His name is Peter Glass. I think he's, I want to say Irish, but I think he's Polish. So I apologize if I get his nationality mixed up. But his father, Peter Glass, is spelled Piotr. That's his first name, pronounced Peter. Glass, Glas. So I think it's Polish, but I might be wrong. However, with that said, the bigger story was that there was a little boy that he used to visit, and this little boy was really sick. I mean, he had about 20 or 30 meds, in his body. He was in a really, I think, bad car accident where he was getting seizures and nothing seemed to work. He was taking all these medications, and the little boy was slowly dying. And prior to leaving for Medjugorje, you could YouTube it or Google it. It's Medjugorje. actually been there. It's a pretty amazing place. So, so anyway, go back to my story. Prior to leaving for Medjugorje, he asked permission from the little boy's parents if it was okay if he prayed for him in Medjugorje. And the parents agreed, and he said that, okay, I am going to go up to Cross Mountain, Apparition Hill, where the big cross is, and I'm going to pray. And when I pray, I'm going to ask you to pray with me. So I guess he texted him or called him prior to praying. And he said that he began praying on Apparition Hill. And what seemed like 10 minutes of prayer was actually over an hour of prayer. He said he never prayed so hard and so fervently his entire life. And I guess while he was praying, the family knew that because I guess he called him, like I said. I guess while they were both praying, and the family was across the continent. They couldn't travel all the way to Croatia, which is where Medjugorje is. And so they were praying in their hometown, thousands of miles away. I guess while they were praying with Father Glass, they witnessed, they had candles burning, and they witnessed like I think they had 7 candles, where all 7 of them just blew out, like a gush of wind blew through their room, and all the candles went out. And just within that moment, that little boy was healed from everything. He was made whole again. And he no longer needed medications, no longer had the seizures. And I believe the story went that night, the family called Father Glass to tell him what happened. And I believe Father Glass immediately knew that boy was healed. So, man, what an amazing testimony. But that's just one of many, many, many testimonies from people that visited these sites, And I don't want people to think that if you go to Medjugorje or you believe in Fatima, that you believe in, you're just going there to witness the miracles. Don't do that. If you do go, just make sure you go there for the right reasons, which is to worship God and to thank his mom, Blessed Mother, for bringing you back to her son, which is what she did to me. And that's how I ended up in Medjugorje about 5 years ago. So with that said, I hope this video is helpful. Please Google it, Fatima, Fatima, and Medjugorje, Medjugorje. And these are just 2 of many, many Marian apparitions. There's many more. There's Our Lady of Akita, and there's one in Africa. I mean, it's all over the world throughout times. And I think it's just our mother's way of bringing her children back to her son. So with that said, God bless you all. Hope your faith continues to grow each and every day. And hit the like button and subscribe. Peace.